What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. There are many who believe that the murders of Tupac Shakur and Notorious B.I.G., 6 months apart, were related. And one of these individuals include a former detective with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. I'll put a link to this article in the pinned comment in the comment section below. Retired detective testifies in murder case, sees link with Biggie Small slaying. Tupac Shakur's fatal 1996 shooting was related to the murder of fellow rapper Biggie Smalls the following year, according to grand jury testimony from a former detective. Retired Las Vegas Metro Police Department Clifford Mugg testified before the Clark County grand jury in the Tupac case last month after the recent arrest of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis for the hip-hop star's murder, CNN reported. Mugg, one of the investigators in the Tupac case, testified people, quote, associated with both murders were involved, unquote, adding that the theory was accurate that they were related. He didn't reveal the theory but admitted that there were different assailants in each attack, giving Davis a pass on the Biggie murder. Prosecutor Mark Giacomo asked, when you say they are related, you're not saying perpetrated by the same individuals? Mugg replied, that's correct. Davis was busted in late September and charged with Tupac's murder. Mugg testified Davis talked his way right into jail by granting so many interviews over the years and talking openly about his alleged involvement in the Tupac murder. Davis was only speaking out to get paid for the salacious story, according to Mugg's testimony. Shakur was shot to death in a vehicle driven by then Death Row CEO Suge Knight while they were in Vegas for a boxing match in September of 1996. Tupac was only 25 years old. Suge Knight was wounded but survived. In March of 1997, Smalls was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He was only 24 years old. Me personally, I've always felt like there was a link. Even back then, before we knew anything, it just felt like that. What isn't being talked about here, obviously, is preceding these murders was the major, like, young people don't realize this. There was a massive East Coast, West Coast beef in hip-hop at that time. If there was a such thing as the internet back then, it would have been unbelievable. Like, you really had hip-hop had developed a divide of East Coast, West Coast to the point where it was almost like a goddamn civil war. And on one coast, you know what I'm saying, you roll with Death Row in the West. If you're on the East Coast, you roll with Bad Boy, you know. And they were dissing each other. It was like a turf war. It was stupid. It was dumb. It was so stupid in hindsight. It was the dumbest. I thought it was stupid then. But as I got older, it's even stupider. It was dumb. And, it culminated in other things. Even though Tupac, even though it was an East Coast, West Coast thing, there was still other things going on at the time. And I remember talking to a friend of mine. I remember around July of 1996. And at that time, all the thing we had to go on was magazines. You know what I'm saying? There really wasn't no internet yet. Not really. That pretty much started the next year. And even then it was primitive compared to today. So back then we had to the only thing we had were hip-hop magazines. That's all we could really get our information on in the news. And then sometimes you heard a little bit of gossip, like if there was a industry rapper that lived in the area, his cousin, girlfriend, baby daddy might have told some people some shit. That was the world we lived in back then. So it amazes me that we were more informed than a lot of young people today with information at the tip of their fingerprints. Information that could be there at the tip of their fingerprints. But anyway, at that time, Tupac was beefing with not just Bad Boy, but beefing with Jay-Z, other East Coast rappers. I think Mobb Deep, some Southern rappers too. He was dissing Southern rap, saying the Southern rap was corny. I remember he was dissing with West Coast rappers because not everybody was on that shit back then. I definitely remember him having a beef with Chino XL. He was beefing with not just industry rappers, but underground rappers. Tupac was also beefing with, we had heard that there was in-house beef, which turned out to be correct, that there was an issue between him and Snoop, although they tried to cover that up. Also, Tupac had issues with beefing with certain gang members. That turned out to be especially present. So I said to him, I don't think Tupac's going to live out the year. I don't think he's going to live out the year, man. The way he's beefing with everybody, something's going to happen. I didn't want it to happen, but something's going to happen. And unfortunately, you know what I'm saying, that Sunday into Monday, September day of 1996, we found out that he got shot. Now, that would have been the second time he got shot, but this seemed a little bit different. The first time, we saw him with the bandages and giving him the middle finger or whatever, but this time, the stories, the news reports were a lot more ominous. Unconscious, given only 20% chance of survival. I remember seeing, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, he had to have a lung removed. I'm like, man, they're taking pieces of him away. I read unconfirmed reports that he had to have fingers amputated, which turned out to be true. I said, okay, I don't know if this guy's going to make it. And even if he does make it, will he be the same? And then, we got the news, the rumors that Friday in school, because this was early in my junior year, we got the rumors that he had died, which became confirmed later on that day. And, as sad as we all were, a part of me was like, I hate to say this, but Tupac kind of created an atmosphere that led to this shit, man. It wasn't all his fault, but he helped to create it. But look, shit was so fucked up back then that you had to watch what you say around people, bro. You couldn't say that shit openly, or you could get hurt or worse. Now, the Biggie murder, it fucked me up more because I was more of a Biggie fan. But the first thing I thought when I heard about this, I remember that was the same day the Bulls and Knicks played on that Sunday on an NBC game, right? When that happened, I instantly felt like that was a retaliatory hit. Because everybody knew that he was going to Los Angeles, which didn't make any damn sense. So over time, over the years, there's been all these different theories as to who was behind it, who was the target. I don't know about all of that, but I definitely feel like there was a link between the two crimes. If I had to go out on a limb, I think that Suge Knight had something to do with Biggie hit. And there are some who believe that the intended target was not Biggie, but Puff. And there's some who say that's not true. I don't know about all of that. But I definitely think that there was a link. That's all I'm going to say about that. I definitely think there was a link. And it is what it is, man. I think that in order for hip hop to survive at that point, there had to be a sacrifice. And I think it had to be Biggie. And I think that Biggie was betrayed by a Judas. And I'm not going to say who, but I think you know who I might be referring to. But that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.